Alright, so for reading this week, I'm going to have you, each video that I do, I'll have you do some of our reading pages and also some of our grammar pages. So that's this packet here with that anchor chart on the front that has so many words. Just don't be intimidated by it. So I know that you love grammar, you'll love this, but let's start with our reading one. You're just going to do your vocab today. So our vocab is here, and I didn't even realize it's going to go right off the page. Alright, our first word is contract. To contract means to get smaller by shrinking. So, for example, a sponge, if you contract a sponge, that means you're like grabbing it, and that would make it smaller. Or another example is your pupils actually contract in your eye. They get smaller when you are out in the dark and then you go into the light. Your pupils actually contract. They get smaller. And our next word is revealed. When something is revealed, it was hidden, but it can now be seen. So, for example, you may have accidentally revealed a spoiler in The Indian in the Cupboard. So that was something that was hidden. It was a secret, but it can now be seen. You accidentally revealed something. But it's okay. We're almost done with the book now, actually. I'm sorry that you're missing it. Our next word is depth. The depths of something are its deepest parts. So if you go down into the depths of the ocean, that means you go down to the deepest part of the ocean. There's a Bible verse that talks about how we cannot understand the depths of God's love because it goes as deep as possible. Gradually, something that happens gradually happens very, very slowly over time. So if you gradually start to like math, that means you don't all of a sudden like it in one day. You slowly start liking it over time, gradually. Eruption. An eruption happens when something bursts through a surface. So like if a volcano were to erupt, that is an eruption. And constant. If something is constant, it happens without stopping. So if you say someone is constantly annoying you, that means they keep doing it without stopping. Or if you have a constant pain in your leg, that means that it keeps hurting you and it's not stopping. And immediate. An immediate event is one that happens right away. So sometimes I might ask you to obey my instructions immediately. That means I need you to do it right away. Immediate. Alright, so you can go ahead and do this vocab sheet. Remember that you just circle whichever one is the better example. And for number 8, I want you to make sure you write using a complete sentence. It says, what is the difference between something that happens gradually and something that happens immediately? So you might need to go back and look at those definitions again. Something else that I would suggest doing is reading the vocab story in your Storytown book, because that is something that you would have done if you were in our class this week. I mean, you are in our class, but if you had been in our class in person. Let me pull it up for you. It is on page 314. So there are all those words. That's going to help you just know our vocab a little better. Okay, and then for your grammar, I have this little page for us. It's our little anchor chart. Basically, it's talking about how to make nouns plural. So, for example, if I have the word dog, to make it plural, instead of having one dog, I have 2 dogs. It's pretty simple. Plural just means that there's more than one. Or if I have a student, and I have more than one student, it's going to be students. So these 2 that I just came up with, those fall under this category right here. Most of the time you just add S. But there's sometimes when you add ES to the noun. This is if it ends in S X, Z, CH, or SH. So we have bus, box, quiz, church, and bush. See how those end in S, X, Z, CH, or SH? That's when you end in ES. So for example, if we had the word, I'm trying to think of another example off of the top of my head. Box. If we had a box, that ends in X. So it's going to be ES. Boxes. Box. Sometimes you have to double it. Like in quiz, we double the Z. That's something you just have to memorize. I won't quiz you on that. Alright, if the noun ends in a Y with a consonant before the Y, change the Y to I and add ES. That sounds super complicated, but it's really not. It's like this. The word pony ends in a Y, has a consonant before that Y, so you change it to an I and add ES. So ponies. Or baby is babies. But if the noun ends in a Y and has a vowel before the Y, you just add on an S. Like the word turkey and the word tray. See how we just add an S? And then there's some crazy changes coming. But let's just use what we know from there to do this first page. So it asks us to write the plural form of each word. Alright, this one ends in a Y. So let's look back at what it said. If it ends in a Y and it has a consonant before the Y, does it? Yep, M is a consonant before that Y. Then you change the Y to an I and add ES. Okay, so it would be N. I change the Y to an I and then add ES. Enemies. Alright, 2 we're going to skip because we'll come back to that one once we learn that rule. Cat, that's just a typical word. That's just a normal word that we just add S onto most nouns. So it's just going to be cats. Key, now that ends in a Y, but when we look at that one, it ends in a Y with an E before it. So we just need to add on an S. So keys. Because that E is a vowel before the Y. Alright, what about glass? It ends in an S. If it ends in an S, we just need to add ES. So it's going to be glasses. We'll come back to scarf and potato another time. Let's look at family. I want you to pause the video and think if you can come up with how you would write family. Alright, I hope you actually paused the video and thought about it. We have a Y, and it has a consonant before. Remember, if it ends in a Y and has a consonant, we're going to change the Y to an I and add ES. So, families. Box, it ends in an X. Right there, an X, so we add ES, so boxes. We'll come back to that one. What about dish? Dish. It ends in an SH, so we would do ES. What about day? Day. Well, day ends in a Y, but has a vowel before the Y. See, there's our vowel before the Y. So we're just going to add an S. We'll come back to that one. Watch. Watch ends in a CH, so we need to add an ES. So it would be watches. Spy. Spy ends in a Y, but it has a consonant before the Y, so we need to write it like this. Spies. And then we have leaf and goose, which actually we'll come back to another time. Alright, I'm actually not going to have you do anything else in this packet for today because that was kind of an information overload for you. So you can be done with grammar for today. You just need to go back and do that vocab paper. And then also, I threw in a spelling worksheet. You do not have to do it, but if you'd like to do that instead of rewriting your spelling words to practice them, you are more than welcome to do the worksheet. That's up to you, however you want to practice. I think the crossword's kind of fun, so if you want to do that as practice, that would be a good idea. But if you just want to rewrite the words, that's fine too.